In the past few episodes, we've talked a lot about identity, self-image, labels, trying to figure out who we are as people and what we want in life. And as a result of shaping our identity, we start to pursue different goals, and many people start to seek more happiness and fulfillment in life in general. What happens usually is that when we achieve what we want and when we start to feel more happy and we have more things in life, there still is something that we feel is missing in ourselves, like this emptiness, this void that no matter what we get, we keep feeling over and over again. It's like no matter what you get, there is always something else. There is always something more that you can get. And we never actually reach that happiness that we were promised. So that's where I would ask you the question, why do you think we feel this emptiness? Why does that happen? Why is nothing ever enough?
The emptiness differ a lot, to be honest, and it depends, because before we talk about why a lot of us feel that emptiness, like we have to remember that not everyone feels the same emptiness. You know,
Of course.
we've got the humble person, or the humble kind of person that is happy, content, and fulfilled with what a lot of people would call the basic lifestyle. You know, and then when you go to the other end of the spectrum, or the other side of the equation, you've got people who, no matter how far they go, no matter how much they push, they are never fulfilled. And even when they are kind of fulfilled, it's just a short-term kind of fulfillment. And then they are ready to set on the next journey, or on the next chasing, if that's what you want to call it.
The chase, yeah.
On the next hunt. To why we feel this, there's, as far as I know, at least, there's a lot of different reasons. We always go back to our childhood trauma, because when you have a void that you need to fill, and you try to determine there's usually an inner cause, an inner conflict inside of you, or inside of each one of us, that is kind of feeding or strengthening this void, in the sense of, you're someone who's looking for status. When you're looking for people to validate you, and you start kind of hunting a specific kind of status, then the inner conflict, or the inner childhood trauma, whatever you want to call it, is validation. So
we were trying to get validation from our parents, maybe, and from our peers.
Not necessarily this. Maybe you never had the validation that you wanted, or maybe you had too much validation, and when you grew older, you noticed that, okay, the world is not giving you the same amount of validation. So as you grew older, actually, you started kind of associating your self-worth with the validation that people are giving you. It's like when the mom tells the child that he's someone special, and that child grows up to realize that, okay, fuck, I'm not special at all. I'm just an average kind of person in this planet. You know, I'm not as special as my mom told me. So they start seeking specific status in life, so people can look at them as special, and they start getting this amount of validation again.
Also looking at yourself as special, because it's not only, I don't think it's only about other people, but this is where it is tied to identity also, that when you don't realize who you are as a person, then you seek material objects or people or things to fill that void, so that you are complete, because you feel like you don't really know who you are. So maybe you find who you are by these external things that you keep accumulating, I guess.
It's like when that one time when we talked about the self-created problems, that we create problems for ourselves so we can fix them quickly, and we kind of start feeling good about them, you know. They give you that
in a sense,
because they kind of give you the validation. They kind of fill that void for a few hours, maybe
it's
a
like,
few days.
If I keep solving these issues and problems, it's like that's where
the void is kind of, you know, getting filled for a second, for a short time. It soothes you, and then, you know, that hunt is gone, is done, and then you're going on to the next mission that you're setting up for yourself.
But I feel like this is a problem that is really universal, that most people, I don't think anybody is born, even if they had a really good childhood, that they would not have this problem at a certain age of their life, where they will seek external things to feel better about themselves. It is something that has to be learned. Like it doesn't come to you naturally. You need to learn that happiness comes from within. You need to do that through different things. So this gives me the assumption that it's not only related to trauma, there is something more to it, but I can't put my fingers on it. Like, why is it? Is it because of this existence that life is too complicated, life is too hard, that we always feel that something is missing in ourselves and we try to distract ourselves with these external things to feel better about our lives, feel better about our existence and our eventual death, maybe?
Maybe
It's-
it's a big topic, but like
Yeah.
I also look at it like those people who usually I believe it has a lot to do with the upbringings because if you were brought up in a matter where you always have agency, you always have gratitude, you're always thankful for what you've got, and
it won't be as bad.
you're always
maybe.
content. It might not even exist at all.
Really?
It will
You
come in
think so?
times in between, but the ultimate goal is that it's not going to exist. Or even maybe describe better, you will have the void, you will be able to admit the void, accept it for what it is, and
You'll
still
have the
be
awareness.
content. You
Yeah.
still be content.
Yeah.
But if your upbringing is different than that, when you grow older and you don't know what gratitude means, you don't know what agency is.
Which is most people, I guess. Most people
probably,
have...
yeah, it's the majority of people.
Yeah.
It definitely is the majority of people, and then because that void, regardless of what the cause of the void is, we all have that void or that emptiness inside of us. For everyone, it's different. Some of us have it, like I said, related to validation. Some of us related to external things.
There is many factors.
Some
at
of
play
us
here.
are related to emotions. For some it's related to something entirely else. It's different kind of voids, different kind of emptiness, and everyone feels it on a different level, of course. But when we're dealing with that void, I'm a firm believer, at least, that it depends on your upbringing and your attitude toward life. Because if you're being grateful and you're remembering or reminding yourself about the journey that you're on, and you focus more on the small, simple pleasures in life, then I feel like that void kind of gets smaller and smaller and smaller till maybe you don't notice it anymore. But if you're always on the hunt and you finish the first hunt, you get the first goal, and then you're setting instantly the second goal to go after.
You're not giving yourself time to appreciate the moment, appreciate
exactly
the achievement
the
itself.
void doesn't have the time to, like, say, I'm just gonna go ahead here and try to paint a picture for at least what's in my brain. You've got the void, you had a goal set up. The goal should have closed like about this much of the void, but instead of taking the time to put the pieces to close this part of the void, you just went on to the next mission. So you didn't even close anything of the void. You're not grateful about what you've done, what you've achieved, about what life has.
You're directly thinking about the next thing. Like, it happens in small things. Like, even in my life, when I'm working on a video, I finish it, I feel good about it for a moment, but then I'm directly thinking, okay, the next video, the next thing I want to achieve. It's really difficult to change that in a sense, even if you are aware, because I think it needs a bigger reframing of what happiness and fulfillment is, that it's only something that you can feel inwardly, and that's a journey on itself where you need to heal your trauma, you need to deal with your childhood, and that takes a long time, that you start to see the void as it is and not trying to fill it with external things, but rather changing your relationship with it and figuring out who you are truly, and not from things that are outside of yourself, but inside. And we've been on this journey for a long time now, and we have our own struggles, and I have moments where I feel appreciative and happy, even though nothing happened. I just wake up, I feel that way, and other days it's completely the opposite. And sometimes I rely on external things to feel better, shopping for
Definitely,
things, working. It's a bumpy journey, I would say. How is your own experience, though?
We can go back to the same example that we always use about the swinging clock. Because sometimes you're swinging on this side, sometimes you're swinging on this side, sometimes you're happy, grateful.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're a bit more hard or harsher on yourself
Yeah.
while you're trying to seek other things. My own experience is really similar, to be honest, because I notice in myself a lot. There's a lot of days when I wake up and I'm just grateful for what I've got. I'm kind of remembering and reminding myself at the same time of how far I've come, and I'm being grateful to all the steps and all and everything that's been happening so far. And then there's also the other days when I wake up and I realize that even in the moment I'm aware of it, that I'm harsh on myself and that I'm always trying to push myself to go to the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, we've done this, but it's only the first step. We're barely at the starting line.
Yeah,
You've got to go after the next thing. Like you know, as if nothing has happened so far. Like I just don't acknowledge everything that's been happening so far, and then I'm just going on the next hunt. And then if I do something during that phase and I finish it, for me it's still nothing. It doesn't matter. You know, I'm just gonna go again for the next thing
Yeah.
after that.
I can
So
relate.
I feel like it's just literally just the swinging between
Yeah.
things. You know, when you're going days like this, days like this. But I feel what's important there, or what can give us like a little bit of a perspective shift, is the self-awareness. Because when you realize that, okay, on this day I'm being like this, and you try to keep that in mind and remain aware of it,
Yeah.
and try to have a different perspective during it, that can keep the balance a little bit. And when at the same time there's days where you're like optimistically grateful and optimistically complacent about how things have been going so far, but you still know that you want to aim further in life,
The
then
balance,
it's also good to be aware of that and try to remind yourself that, okay, we've done more than enough. Like, we've done enough. We've you know, gone further in life, but we're still on the same journey. There is no need to suddenly stop and be complacent. It's again, it's just a balance. You know,
Yeah,
always
sure.
trying to keep yourself in a good balanced spot or state where you're both grateful, but you're not content. Does that make sense? It might sound more
kinda does.
negative.
It kinda
It
does.
sounds more negative than it actually means. Maybe I'm missing the correct terms or the correct words to describe it. But you're just grateful for where you are right now. But at the same time, you're not fully content or complacent that you're thinking or assuming or, you know, just wanting to stop. It depends on your goals, and it depends on what you want to do, of course, and depends on your void. Because the void is technically one of the things that drive us the most, I guess, at least in my case. So it depends on,
Of course,
on your relationship with
I'm a
it.
firm believer that it is what drives us the most.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, it's usually these negative emotions and criticizing ourselves and feeling shit about ourselves that pushes us to do the good things. But there is another thing we have to think about here, and it's usually when people feel so bad about themselves and they need to do a lot of healing and improvement, that they start doing that and they fixate on that path, the healing path, and they are always thinking about, how do I heal more? How do I become better? And that's where they get trapped, in a sense of taking that as a form of identity also, that I'm on a healing journey. I'm all about the healing, and it's also about more. And they're also not appreciating how far they have come in the moment. They keep thinking about this ideal, optimal version of themselves that they want to reach, and they stop seeing all of the little things that they actually improved at. It's like the other side of the spectrum, in a sense.
It's what Fight Club called it. Self-improvement is just like masturbation.
Yeah, it's for real.
It's
Chris
addictive.
Williams says it also.
I've been there. Hey, I've been there. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
me
lie
too,
about it.
me too.
There was a phase in my life where self-improvement was everything for me. And if
it's never enough.
a few months passed by and I didn't find something that I can improve or heal from, I would be feeling shit about myself. So self-improvement is definitely,
it's even with
it's definitely masturbation. Like, if you know, if you get stuck into that loop. But I feel like this is something that we all have to go through, regardless.
Yes, in the beginning.
Everyone has to start with the self-improvement, and then at some point, they're going to be treating it literally like masturbation, and they're going to be doing it as often as they can, and they're going to get addicted to it. And then at some point, they realize that whether there is something to heal or not doesn't matter, because things are just going to unfold the way they are.
Yeah, and you can't have all the answers in the moment. So
And
Like,
so I think that's just like a part of the process that we all got to go through and realize that, okay, it's good to have the self-improvement mentality, but also realizing that if it goes too far, just like anything else in life at this point, it can be too harming for you.
but I feel like it could be even more dangerous because most people get stuck in that phase for years because they don't see the problem in it. They say, okay, I'm doing good things. I'm reading more books. I'm going more often to the gym.
Technically, it's not a bad place to be in.
It's not I mean, it's
because it already gives you a lot of, like, at least my experience with it, it gave me a lot of knowledge. It gave me a lot of experience. It gave me a lot of new perspectives.
It's better than the opposite. But the problem is it's harder to identify as a problem. You know, like when you're stuck in it for years.
That applies to a lot of the problems. Because like I usually say, when you're in the shit, you only see the shit. You don't see anything beside the shit that's surrounding you. But so in any phase or problem that you're stuck in, you're only able to see the problem. You're not able to see the problem. You just, the problem is kind of you.
But I still feel like it is still harder to identify than other kind of problems because what you read online, what you see, that what you're doing is a good thing.
Sure.
You don't have a clue.
Perhaps.
But with other things, you're scrolling on Instagram, you start to see reels, why it's bad to masturbate, why it's bad to eat junk food, why it's easier to identify these problems in yourself.
Even as self-improvement, there's a lot of people that talk about it nowadays. As a bad thing.
Nowadays, well, like look at it 5 years ago, that was non-existent.
But even the topics that we talk about right now, 5 years ago, they were not as often talked about as nowadays. It's just the way society is heading.
It was weird to talk. What are you talking about? Is it bad to read too many books? Is it bad to do all of this? Well, any good thing can be even a bad thing with excess.
The fact that we as a society, as a collective consciousness, if that's what we want to call it, we started defining the human journey or the human experience of life as self-improvement. That's why self-improvement became so widely known, and that's why a lot of people started going in that journey. And
I think there is another reason why we keep seeking more is that we always compare ourselves to other people. We've talked a lot about comparison in the past. Like, no matter how much you improve or where you're at in life, there is always someone who is further than you. And we tend to focus on these people who have more, who have achieved more than the people who are at our level or maybe lower than our level. And that's keep the chase going. Like, why should I stop? There are people who have achieved more, so I can reach that as well. It's always this competitive reaching mindset that we men have in general. Like, you see it more in men than
it's survival of the fittest.
Yeah,
like
you can always tie to evolution at the end of it.
It's the same with the, like, we're still talking about the void here, but we're just taking, because maybe from our perspective it might seem that we're going a little bit off topic, but these are all connected to the void. And I feel like the void itself is also connected to survival mechanism, because even survival of the fittest.
How so?
Because the void is always pushing us to chase more and more. And based on our ancestor in the human evolution, we're always, it was survival of the fittest.
If you have more things, then
you need to have more. You need to be stronger than the next person. You need to have more money. You need to have more status. You need to have more in this.
Yeah.
Why? Because that means that's gonna give you more safety in the world.
Safety net, yeah.
And the safety is gonna push you to, well, not push you, but the more safe you are, the more you are sure, or the
more likely you are to
think or assume that you're going to survive more, And whether we want to admit that or not, it's been imprinted in our DNA. It's evolution. It's how and it's like you said, if you're talking about men, and if we're going to, I don't know the numbers, I don't know, I don't have any data to back this up, but if we're going to make the assumptions that men do this more often or get stuck in this loops more often than women, it's because, again, we go back.
We are the hunters.
We were the hunters. We were the ones who had to fight and survive and get better so we can survive better and we can provide more. It's just evolution. Admitting that, though, can be really crushing for a lot of people.
I mean,
because you're going to realize that, oh, shit, okay, so the void that I've got inside of me is because people from 2,000 years ago were fighting for their lives, and not because I'm someone who's.
But hey, isn't that most things we can tie to evolution? So most things are hard to admit. That's the thing, but it always come back to that, at the root of the cause of the problem, if you want to call it a problem. Okay, so we focused so far mostly on the void itself and how we keep trying to fill it with external things. And we've talked a little bit about that you need to look within to find actual happiness and fulfillment. So maybe we need to dive a little bit deeper on how we can find what we need inside ourselves and why we don't need anything else really to be happy, because you can see how it's a typical example how you can find poor people who are really happy in the moment and rich people who are depressed and want to commit suicide. And that, I feel like all of this is tied to this little thing that you need just to focus on yourself inside. What do you think about that?
It's Alan Watts in one of his lectures, in one of his speakings, if that's what you want to call it, he talked about how we, as human beings, we're always seeking things from the external world. And we're always thinking about the next vacation, about the next sightsee that we're going to do, about the next, I don't know, activity that we're going to do.
Absolutely.
Without, and forgetting that we have a full world deep inside of us, deep within, that is, and that this world is the best escapism, if that's what we want to call it, that will give us all the answers that we need.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to look at it like this, the vacation, we're only excited about the vacation and what's going to happen in the vacation because of our own emotions that are connected to that vacation, our own anticipations of how the vacation is going to be.
Anticipation, exactly. The future.
And how we're tying the experience there. That didn't happen yet, by the way, with a lot of positive emotions, regardless of how the experience there is going to be. But that's why we're happy, and that's why we're looking forward to it, and that's why we're, it's easier to connect external things to internal things. It's either to connect something to emotions. But once you start realizing that you are the one who is giving birth, to these emotions, then you can start doing the same
Internally.
and creating these emotions for the moment that you're in right now.
The little joys, the being more in the moment, the things that you're feeling the things that you're seeing right now.
Instead of spending your good energy on the vacation and like anticipating something good is going to happen, you can just take that same amount of energy and put it into today, where you are living in right now, and have the same mentality and the same mindset and the same emotions for today about the good things that's going to happen. And then that's why it's more within, it's more internal than it is external. But at the same time, when we talk about that, we can find everything within, because everything that's external or everything that's materialistic has been created by us, human beings.
Sure.
And it's
that's a nice perspective, actually.
And it's only
I didn't think about it in this way.
But I still think about, this is something that always comes in my head, and it humbles the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Because when I'm putting a lot of emotions and a lot of energy into something external, and I want it, then I'm just like, another human being created this, and they did it because they had similar emotions, but they were more in tune with their inner world, and their inner world drove them to create this materialistic item, or whatever you want to call it.
And if you're gonna take it further, most people don't appreciate nature, trees, the sun, because they are not human created.
Exactly.
That's the other. If you just take it a little bit further here, and it's really interesting. I didn't think about that in the past, but it actually makes sense. And so basically, to appreciate what's within and being with yourself, you just gotta be living in the moment. We've talked about this a lot, how we get stuck in the past or in the future, having expectations about things, and this is where you're just reaching and chasing for more. But if you are more focused on the moment and what's happening right now, then you're not really chasing, you're just being. And this is like the ultimate mindset to be in. Just this is how you can actually appreciate things more and be happy, because happiness is fleeting and you can have it in the moment. It's not something that is constant. If you are too stuck in the future or in the past, then you can't have that feeling. You won't be feeling fulfilled, because automatically you're just thinking about things that are going to happen in the future. So you're reaching for more. You're reaching for things that didn't happen yet. And for most people, when they are thinking about the vacation, when the vacation happens, it's usually not as they expect.
The
Because-
dopamine and the energy is already wasted
no
while
matter-
they're
even if
planning
it
and
was really
anticipating.
nice, even
Yeah.
if it was amazing,
Yeah.
it's still something will be
Because in their
missing.
head they've made that perfect vacation,
Exactly.
and then when you get there, you're just like, oh, this is just
Yeah,
a regular vacation where it's chill and
Mhm.
nice, but it's not as good as I thought
Yeah.
it would be.
something will always be missing. Yeah, I think that's it for
To
this
end,
episode.
to end this episode, I'm just gonna throw a smaller quote from Kung Fu Panda related to
Kung
this.
Fu Panda. Let's go. Let's go.
It's when the turtle told the warrior, "Noodle, don't noodle, spaghetti, don't spaghetti." He was just trying to refer to the past. Whether you go to the past, whether you go to the future, what matters is the present.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
a reminder
things,
that just
simple
popped up in my
animation,
head.
simple cartoons can
Can give you
all you need.
They can hit.
Yeah.
If you listen to them, sometimes they can hit differently.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright.
That's it for this episode. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.